I think we're ready. Kevin, go ahead.
Okay, great. It's great to see everybody. Um, I just came in to do a little overview of our departments. And at the end of, I'd also like to bring forward an issue we had happening out there past PERMA pictographs too as well. But what I'll do is I'll just start out by talking a bit about our department, and then as we go along, if there's any questions for me or about our department or anything budgetary even, we can just stop in the middle. I think I got 30 minutes, and by the scale of how we've been doing our presentations, usually 8 slides is like 30 minutes. I think I got 15. But lucky the first one's only the one of our projects there with the Bedrock Canyon. So um, first off, I'd like to just a few facts about our department is um, since our inception by ordinance in 1995, I think implemented in 96. We've been growing and doing our best to catch up to um, consultation trends, also represent our resource protection, which is defined by tangible cultural resources definition. So that means any of the work that any scientist or archaeologist would do per BIA standards would be sent out to each reservation and told to just do some cultural resources reviews just to ensure that we are following in line with Section 106 and the Antiquities Act. Um, what our department was really brought forth is working to appease that need, but also since our tribes, I'm really proud to say this when I'm working, especially with other tribes in Montana, is that we're not removed from our homeland, um, and I think that's to me that could be that could pose a problem with some tribes they have in here in Montana because the landscapes are they were used ceremonial by each respective tribe or tribes within each land base and had to adapt to how it looks in Montana. We've never had that, not with us. And so with that, we have a very strong showing a really strong um, foresight that happened in 75 and 76 with the initiative to record histories with our elders, which then has turned into the cultural committees the way we see them today. And that has been the main base of how we were able to evolve and have a preservation department, which now we have the expertise to cover what we would otherwise have archaeologists contracted to cover in each tribe. And I think there are a few tribes that still have that. Some tribes only have just the tribal historic preservation officer and one or two helpers with contracted archaeologists, and we don't need that. So I just want to start with just a couple of those facts, which I'm very proud of. Um, Moving on to the actual slide. So right here, that photo is indeed Bad Rock Canyon. We've had a running consultation with them since 1988. And as you know, like since that initial consultation in 88, there has been some work to widen that highway there. And as you know, when you're heading to Hungry Horse or to Hungry Horse Dam or to Glacier Park, there is a 4 lane that turns into a narrow 2 lane right by Bad Rock Canyon and then turns back into 4 lanes. The reason that happened is our tribe put comments in that at Bad Rock there, this is actually an actual uh, spiritual site that has a unique spring that comes out of the rocks there. And even today, we have folks from our tribe still using that water that comes out of the rocks there. And it's not even the piped system. I think that's there. But why that's important is there's oral history that covers this zone here. We have a number of undertakings that do for some reason go right over that rock. We have the BPA power line, and we've had a number of visits out there with the state archaeologist. His name's Steve Platt from Montana Department of Transportation. You might have met him once or twice, Mike, um, as you were working at SKC there. We've worked with him a little bit, and he's been a great advocate of the tribes and over the years, and he even helped us with the acquiring the land exchange there with where the perma pictographs are. Um, he was able to go out there with Pat Left Hand, Francis Ald, and a number of other elders from both elder groups. And this is why the highway still today is narrow right there with the 2-lane. However, it still poses speed. Speed. They can't control the amount of traffic that goes around and how people drive there. Let's say it that way. But why that's at the forefront again? It's been a trending project that we've had, and we keep that on the forefront with us right now. There is a proposal that we'll bring to council as soon as we know what the alternatives are. However, as you know, a number of projects have been defunded because of the current administration. So with our department, again, with priorities set within our Aboriginal territories, we work within our reservation boundaries. And as you know, with the amount of undertakings and multiple um, property lines or land managed by what's told us is managed or is owned by the United States. So we're talking national forests, and then down to Montana state lands. Our boundaries for our current reservation um, don't really cover to, I guess, what we have as a perpetuated use for the landscapes. So just like it's written here, our mission is to include all the ethnographies, the what we have in past history, but also what we strive to do today is be very eloquent in how we represent our department with the multitude of projects that come through or need some kind of comment from our tribes. What's trending right now today is the energy exploration. And you've probably seen over the news just a number of mines, mining claims, smaller mining claims across streams, like in Cooney National Forest. What we do is what we're tasked with doing is covering those landscapes with the set perpetuated use of today, but that's also based on traditional knowledge and how we work to doctor ourselves as a people in the forest. So as the ceremonies go each year, there'll be people that are sent to different places, and it's not always on the reservation. So that's what's included with what we intend to do. Again, without exploiting ourselves, I think is the toughest job we've had within our department. But also keep exploitation down to a minimum. And at the end of the presentation, I have an example of that in how we intend on accomplishing that task. As you know, cultural resources have a few definitions. When we work with outside agencies, their definition of what a cultural resource is are mostly tangible or historic tangibles. It always has been that cultural resources has been the least funded initiative within each of the documents in NEPA that we've ever worked with, and it's always been like that. However, we worked the best we could with whatever money we were able to acquire and cover this definition here, what's on the screen, through ethnographic information first. So right there, you see there's a place name map. And what that place name map does, it shows the landscape and covered use with our with one of the creation stories. And if you measure that polygon right there at length, our main creation story includes a monster, and he's laying right there in the mountain range, which is, and if we're talking with other Tunacha or Sanka or other Kootenays, they'll know that code, and that's what that polygon actually represents there. And in between, we have the actual placement of where each land base actually is. However, we all know that when we're covering again in a landscape based theory or research design, when we're talking cultural resources, we cover the ethnographic first, and then it goes down to where archaeology is contributing to what we're looking to protect. These are the laws and policies that we strive to work through. I would say that with the NHPA and the NAGPRA, those have been some of the again with the current administration, those have been a couple of the policies that we work to protect the most, the easiest, and we seem to get on a level with the multitude of governments. Seems to be NAGPRA, because everybody, when we work with folks, everyone seems to know or feel the commonality of treating human remains with utmost respect. The NHPA has been the challenge when it comes to protecting a historic or prehistoric artifacts, simply because there's a different definition of what's important or what seems to be important when it comes down to how the folks or people that live in and around us that are not a part of our belief system or tribes seem to put their own value on how we treat cultural resources as a whole. And again, part of our job at our department is to bring those bring the importance or values to, especially the tangible evidence of things, to the forefront, and have those cared for in a way that's that follows our traditional values. Right in our department, we work directly from our databases out to sites. So how we intend or how we actually execute our work is based on what we've built at our office with the databases. We have a direct link into the Montana SHPO, and through that network there, we are able to cover our research and reviews. In most cases, we get 14 to 30 days to respond, and you've probably seen a lot of those emails, Mike. Those are initiated consultation emails and phone calls. We get a lot of things: phone calls, texts. We field them all. I have a great staff. I got Travis, Madeline Kaya. Travis is our compliance manager. He does intercept quite a bit of our on reservation work. However, I'm making sure that I try to include him with all of our work when it comes to important sites, because the compliance we're working to just assure that our office can also work off reservation when we're doing monitoring, and that's going to include multiple visits down to the medicine tree. Right now, with the way that the bottom of the stump there is starting to rot on the outside layer there. We've been keeping an eye on that we've had the community down there through mostly complaints, but with some concern that the stump would fall out on the highway And what we want to do is make sure that we take care of those issues as well. Um, and also on-site monitoring that we have on the reservation there too. The databases, why that slides up there is because that's the base of our work. In this slide here, we're just talking a bit about the uh, relationships that we have with the other folks that do have an interest in the our undertakings. And what's mentioned at the bottom is the ACHP as the advisory council, and they usually handle impasse or any failed consultation we might have with other departments or state agencies or federal agencies. We haven't had that much, only at points where there are hydroelectric dams or any major energy exploration projects we've seen. I think as of recently, we had the Kootenai National Forest. They had that the mining exploration proposal out they had out there, which happens to be under one of our important Sanka sites there. There are three rock formations standing on the edge of the mountain. And if there are any charges or anything that happen to trying to get into that bedrock and do any drilling, it could disrupt or interrupt the use of those rock formations, but also if they ever fell, that'd be detrimental to our tribes through the cultural landscape use through ceremony. So in this slide here is just an example of some agencies that we work with frequently. In and among any of these 9 or 10, we have a multitude of contracts. Our tribe does accept quite a bit of jobs with all of these agencies here, and that's how we actually help fund our department with the amount of people we have working for us. What I want to mention is that our contracting department does really well. We get a lot of job offers. I try to keep that down to a minimum, though, just while we're in training and building institutional memory with the technicians we have right now. And in this photo here is an example of one of those projects that we had. This is our field crew walking from Anaconda on the power line all the way to the reservation, which was 120 miles. And they were able to do it in blistering hot conditions. Working in conjunction with an archaeology firm out of California, who, which I might add, did not want to jump out of the rig and do any walking. So our tribe did it. I mean, it was because we're built for that kind of thing. But what that does, though, again, we're building relationships and rapport with the Bonneville Power Administration, and we take our job pretty serious. And they are in Anaconda. So in this photo here, and we, as you know, that's one of the geothermal belt zones of Montana. It's full of flint quarries. That's where you can go for any kind of any type of flint, from chert to basalt or any harder material that you might find in these belts. So you'll see a lot of sites, and that's important to note. Again, this one's a linear project, just like the highways and others with the dams that we have. And what's important about all of these is that we cover the right of way. Usually, that's 100 to 150 feet from the middle of the power line itself. Again, that's just an example of the type of projects or jobs we accept as the contracting. As we're doing that, though, we are building institutional memory with each person that's out there on the project. So, just mentionable. So when we're in and among these contracts, we do bring our
Kevin?
communities out there. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kevin, it can remind me of one thing with power line right of ways. You're talking about just the footprint of the right of way. On the edge of that right of way, don't utilities have the right to trim back trees even farther
Clear cut the trees is what they.
outside of the right of way?
They
Anything that
do.
might fall, so,
Yeah, outside of the right of way or the height of a tree.
so do you look beyond the?
Yeah, we do. We
Okay.
over survey quite a bit because there are scarred trees. Um, if you're on reservation, there's a zone from Evero all the way to Arlee that had, regardless of how undertakings seem to be put there, up to the 1980s. We had a number of folks still carrying on ceremonies. They started using those right of ways when they were putting bundles up in trees. And so we had to really, I mean, that's really the reason why we started over surveying so that we can tell the usual species of that is a Douglas fir. And as you know, they grow really fast. And if you have stuff tied up in those, eventually those will fall. So we had to survey that and keep an eye out there for about 20 years until we just don't see those anymore in those trees. So they might be way up there. I'm not sure, but we have to cover all those in our undertaking surveys. So yeah, that's correct. And we do the same thing with the highways too. We cover the right of ways. So. And out there, we're also, this is a photo of our field crew out there on the Hungry Horse Reservoir. We do quite a bit of, and what's trending right now, again, with the current administration, we have our techs out there assisting the lead archaeologists in their surveys. They have a number of undertakings where they have a drawdown zone of exposed gravel, hillsides that are completely deflated and now they look like gravel beds. Like in this photo here, Pascal Del Peon, he's doing some survey there looking for on a known site. They're looking for the distribution of artifacts that might be exposed because they had the opportunity to lower that water or lower the water level to make ready for the next year's runoff. Um, we always have offered that to national forests because they're the land managers. They actually have the responsibility of working out there on those dams. As you know, they started there's with that initiative with the fork in the road, they call it. Um, there are a number of archaeologists that actually took that and left the forests. So now we've stepped in and started to help through the Good Neighbor Authority, and um, it's been a great agreement for us to actually showcase some of the dedication and work we have as a tribe. And I'm pretty proud of our department and how we cover those voids with the forests. And now we do work in the regular forest off of that undertaking there. If these guys are on that Hungry Horse Dam, that's funded totally by BPA. What the GNA does is allows us to go off of that, what they call the bathtub ring, and get up a little more to where there are zones that do have a number of trails and scarred trees and other sites like of those nature, especially with the pictographs and rock art sites. We've been able to assist the National Forest in that effort there. I'll try to get through a little faster, but as of recently, we've been working with the NRD Doer program, and we've been able to make a pretty great relationship with NRD Doer. They got a lot of interesting projects happening. As of even today, we have a number of techs down there between Dixon and River Valley as they're rechanneling that river there. They're putting a lot more curves in there, so it slows that water down and is suitable for trout restoration. There was some work back in kind of, I want to say 50s,
No, 1930s.
30s, where the rechanneling of that creek actually goes against the hill there, straighten it out, and it's too fast. The water flows too fast now for that restoration work to actually take. So the NRD folks bought some land from tribal members there. I think it was some private and are rechanneling that. And so we're down there assisting that and just assuring that nothing gets dug up down there because that is that is a hunting site, and there are a number of allotments down there too that might have historic value. So we're down there covering that. What's listed in there, and what probably we could probably go over later as you're reviewing this again, is just the actual projects that we're working on and that we've had completed consultation with on this slide here. But they've all been very interesting and worthwhile to get familiarized with. So what we have in the other current projects, we are acquiring the curation or the curated items at SKC. That came out of the Kukanusa. You guys might have heard of that. We do have a curation, but it's us taking care or curating a collection of artifacts from Bristol Creek from the Army Corps undertaking there at Libby, the Kukanusa Reservoir. Our tribe is actually going to take on that contract, and we will be one of the tribes in the Northwest that'll have its own. We'll have our own curation facility, which is great. That'll be out there at Kicking Horse. We are in contract negotiations right now, and for the first 1 to 3 years, we will be at more of a storage capacity. We will be measuring within the 3 years to see if we need to add a full-time employee, an FTE, to that contract for the actual curation facility there, just to see if there's everyday maintenance or items that we do take in and start housing there at the curation as well. I think that's pretty neat to know, because there are some tribes like the Colville. I think they have a curation facility right there at Cooley, and the Kalispel tribe, I believe, has a curation too, which is pretty neat, and we'll be one of the mains. There used to be 146 curated collections in different places, even in basements of churches or storage units, or however of the 146 were being housed. There was an initiative to go ahead and start taking those and putting those in one place within vicinity of where they were found. And of course, with us in Montana, we take care of 2 dams. Our tribes take care of the 2 with Hungry Horse and Kukanusa. And when it gets into Idaho, Washington, and Oregon, there are a number of tribes come from different reservations that show up to the same meeting, and they have to work out a lot of NAGPRA. Those cultures downriver actually buried their folks right by the creeks, and as you know, when they started putting dams in everywhere, they started to really it really damaged a few of those places, which is of high concern, and they deal with NAGPRA every year. We've been able to forge ahead in taking care of the two dams of Hungry Horse and Kukanusa, which is a big deal, and we also have a hand in the Albany Falls project as well. And today, that's actually what Kayla Ashley, our anthropologist, is doing. She's covering the Hungry Horse meeting right now. But as a result, we do take care of Hungry Horse's artifacts, and we will do that in that curation facility we have. It will house the 48,000 artifacts. I know that came out of the Bristol Creek collection there. And then we have a number of sites that were looted by private owners that we went ahead and took, I think they call it custody, but we basically said since they came out of sites in zones that we know are Salish, we'll take those off your hands and we'll take care of those or return those to the land at some point soon. That's what we aim to do with our curation facility. Again, I just wanted to mention that because it's really neat and pretty big deal. I'm pretty proud of our tribe's capacity to be able to do that. We have again, a little bit on the monitoring. We have quite a bit of on-site monitoring we do for a lot of different projects. And how this helps is that these folks, the technicians we have are actually the folks that out of elder meetings, when we have a lot of questions like, did you guys check Prima? Have you gone down there to Stevensville? We heard that there were bones coming out of the river there. And in this photo here, we got a notice that there were human bones sticking out of the ground right down there at the Jocko cemetery. So our office was able to, with assistance with the lands department, we were able to go get some loads of topsoil, and they covered those right up. They worked with Ronnie Matt and Clark Matt on that. But again, we're pretty proud of the way we're able to respond and do the best we can out of the elder meetings, which has been a great. We've gotten a lot of great notices out of those meetings on how to take care of our land, but also do our job better. And this slide here, this talks a little bit about the consultation process and just how where the emails, calls, texts, and other notices we get about initiated consultation by agencies, where it goes, and this is the formula we use when it comes down to taking care of places. So, and I'll try to speed through. I don't know how much time I got. Well, actually, I'm already 3 minutes over. There's no NRD guys back there.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay.
It's all right.
When you go back to this slide, though, this is all the stops that each one of those emails and notices go.
And I'll interject there. I probably got half a dozen requests on my days in email today.
Yeah,
I'll go to Kevin as well.
And I'm really happy for the help we have too with our department, with Travis and Madeline and Kayla, Mary Rogers. Great folks to work with. Post survey. So what this slide is meant to portray is just, as you see here, again, in another linear project, we're out there monitoring with the ground disturbance as it was happening. In this slide here, they're making a road to get right up to that wood structure to dig it out and switch out the poles. We really do our best after a survey to document as good as we can what the ground disturbance actually look like. Properly report to, again, within our elder meetings, there are a number of practitioners or community members that may be affected by these undertakings, and they take the opportunity to come and check out these presentations we do. So we make sure we take plenty of photos and do the proper paperwork to follow up with the agencies. Again, in a professional setting with the contracts, we do our best to portray the work as we saw it out there. And then also with the partnerships we have with the many archaeologists we have, it's just good to have our work confirmed by them and just assure that we close out each project as good as we can. So right there are all of the in the tabs that's listed and what could happen in any one of these scenarios. And it is, in most cases, we do have a lot of mitigation that we try to make sure it covers any cultural voids per each of the ones listed that we have with the cultural committees. Those can be trending too. I know we had some trying times where there was requests from the departments for language, money for language. I think there was a few ideas for camps or cultural camps, so that the youth will have a place to go and learn how to actually do a few of those activities. We do have a number of our community that have kids that have never been to the woods even sometimes. And these opportunities actually help with that. But from our office, when there's a damage to a cultural site, we usually would forward that if there's a monetary mitigation, it would go right to our cultural committees and they would do what they do with it. But as of recently, we will be, if there are any larger mitigation ideas that happen, I'm going to opt to come to council and let you guys just see what's happening with that, because it's going to be important. You all might know better than we do. Again, what's trending per year when it comes to cultural voids, or how those are defined. And it is really good. I think it's really good to make sure that, let's say, for instance, in this scenario where this little, it looks like a little, what do they call those little skidders, where he's actually making a road. What if he went through and hit a grave? BPA would have to pay for the mitigation of that side, and if it's monetary, then that would be best served by folks that actually know what's going on more with our communities. So that's the mitigation part. Again, with we don't do the camps. We don't. We try our best to not get into that educational aspect when we have folks like at People Center or at the cultural committees that actually do that job. And this last slide for questions. Are there any up to now?
Go ahead, Tom.
I'm sure I've had this conversation before with you, Kevin. And it reminded me again of this summer when I was down at the skate park and down at the agency, and we have this jail structure there.
Oh, yeah, we started a nomination form.
Did you? I was wondering about that. Okay.
Yeah, I know we did. Actually, it was Lana,
Oh.
over your cousin. She was like, oh my gosh. She's like, I can't do the anthropology part. So we started a National Register form for that.
Okay.
We recorded that luckily a couple times, but the main person who led that recordation was Kathy Felsman back in 2002. Clark Fork River work is what she was doing, but she started in the Dixon zone and wanted that. There was another building there. I can't remember.
Do we have any buildings on the historic register?
No, we don't.
We
Not
don't.
that I know.
Because somebody asked me that last week, and I said, "Man, I can't
no.
think of that." I remember we looked at it for the Blue Bay buildings, and then we didn't do it.
No,
because
but we still can though.
Well, they said they were altered too much.
Well, I mean, to actually be on the register, they're altered, but for our sovereign nation, what a tribal historic preservation department can do is we can set our own parameters on what's pertinent and what's not, and we include allotments. That's why I mentioned that with the between Dixon and Ravalli, is we have prominent folks that still need to be remembered regardless of the loss of land. Because back then, remember, folks were to get a bag of groceries, you'd put your land up sometimes at due base or something. I think I heard from Mike Durglow told me that story. Yeah, and you can lose parcels of land in that manner. So with our department, we are able to set those parameters on what's actually eligible and what's not. So per our department, as long as we own the land, then it can be an eligible site. And we'll just tell the Montana Shiploader to comply with that. And usually they do. We work really well with them. But regardless of how, what's important to commemorate with especially with the buildings, is what it was used for. And it's also important to remember how Blue Bay even came to be and what the buildings used to be used for a long time ago. I think that was used to call it the bar building. When I worked for Wild and Rec, we called it the bar building.
First started as a sunshine camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these stories again, if our tribe owns the land, then we can set those parameters. But still, it's still neat to have that on file, even a National Register nomination. A lot of places are only still just a nomination at that level because they've also had alterations there, but the nomination still lives as a site form. And it still comes up, even in the state SHPO database, they'll have that site come up there. And we've had that site recorded as something else, and the jail was included. Of course, I can't remember what we called that, but there was the school building, I think, was still there at that time, and there was going to be some cleanup that happened as a result of that, the logging operation there. But again, we can set our own parameters on that, and if a nomination is not, if it's not nationally, if it's not registered or not eligible, it still lives as a site form, and a lot of places in Montana still live as a site form, but have a nomination attached to them, and it's still pretty neat.
So a couple of years ago, when we were looking at Symes Hotel, and it's on the register, the Symes Hotel in Hot Springs.
Mhm.
If we were to acquire that and we developed our own program, would it automatically come under that? Would we have more flexibility to do what we wanted to do with that
you
building then?
You would, yep. I'm surprised that place still made it on the register though, because I know there haven't been.
Yeah, it's on the register.
Even if you changed an outlet, the frame on an outlet
Yeah.
or upgraded wiring because it was going to start a fire, that actually knocks it out of the register. I mean, I see what the parameters set. Again, that's just how you define cultural resources nationally, though. But again, with our department, the way it's set up, and with other sovereign nations, they have their own scale. And I think that's what's neat about having a preservation department and a database, and also having the partnership with our SHPO. A lot of Washington tribes don't have that, or Idaho, especially Idaho, they don't have that. There's a complete separation because some SHPOs don't believe in oral history. Would say that tribes are making this up so we could further leverage. But no, we can do whatever we want with our. So we're following suit with the jail. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we started working on that. I think last fall. But no, the jail. Yeah, we did some recordation there.
I guess, did you guys go in and get pictures and stuff of the inside and all the cool artwork that's in
Yeah,
there?
we did.
Oh, right
Took
on.
a lot of photos of the names in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of funny stories came out of that. But we did. We took a lot of photos, and a lot of discussion about Dixon happened because we were also working on. I think we were monitoring the skate park down there at that time when we took those photos.
I guess my last question is on the side of the one wall, it'd be the east wall there of the jail. There's some spray paint on there. I drove by the other day and I was like, oh my God, I need to cover that up. But would you suggest just not covering up the?
No, you can
graffiti?
cover that up.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have photos of it too before it was graffitied out.
It's nothing bad. It's good. I just like to cover it with the skate park being there. We're getting more visitors, which has been really nice.
Yeah, and I think that'd be great because what if it turned into because there's a lot of bad places I wish would not be geocached. That'd be like pictographs or places like that. But if that can live as a geocache, a historic site, and it can be developed to where it can be a place to stop by and visit or just see what the jails look like at some point, that would be great. I think that'd be great. You'd probably need a regular, I think they have at the museum, they have folks that make those kinds of displays. What do they call those?
Kiosk.
There's kiosks and there's other terms for educational outreach type signs. But they actually developed those places for, and I think that'd be really neat because there's the jail. People stop by at Garnet Ghost Town. And we took a few photos in there and they're just as small as that one. They almost look like that jail there. But yeah. But yeah, that's what we have for our presentation, our orientation today. I hope it helps for the only new council today. I think I gave this to all you guys last time in 14. I had to change the date on this one, on this presentation, but Are there any more questions at all for the presentation part?
Yeah, Kevin, would you reiterate all the folks that are in your office? Just
I will. So we have, I'm the department head. We have a compliance manager. That's Travis Harley here. And what he does is covers all the cultural clearance work and NEPA. So we work within the interdisciplinary team that Tony and Steve McDonald have put together there. And we handle a lot of NEPA work, which is pretty important.
If we got another hour, I can go into what I do.
that NEPA work's always slow.
We have Madeline Kayai is our tribal historic preservation officer. Kayla Ashley is our contract anthropologist. Let's see, Gabrielle Artis, she's our admin. Her title says administrative manager. She does a lot of financial work. We push with our budgeting and the amount of folks we need to have at certain key positions. I think our budget needs to be just shy like $900,000. I think I have those real numbers. I shouldn't be saying like, and I think, but the real budgeting, I would like to send that along because just so council is aware of just how much we cost or it costs to do our work. But she does all the budgeting and the admin work for us. Her employee is Jordan Asensio. That's our secretary. Working for Kayla as a contract anthropologist and contract entity, we have Pasquinel Pion, Carlin Matt, Oski Left Hand, Wacy McClure, and Louis Pierre. In our database manager in this photo here is Mary Rogers. She covers all the historic work and is of great use when we are writing our reports and other things too. She does great editing. Shoot, I think that's everybody. Yeah, that's us.
And where are you?
We're at Kicking Horse at the we're in the building right by the where it used to be the kitchen. Yeah, right across from the kitchen there. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, just for the benefit of Greg. I can't remember if Danny heard this before, James, but I got in a great debate with the county commissioners a long time ago over the Ronan Fairgrounds property. And we were talking about liquidating the community center there in the fair buildings and building a new fair site out there where the meat processing plant was built when we acquired that property.
Mm.
And I was talking about the history of that parcel, the 5 acres there. I said, well, the tribes donated that to the county for 4-H purposes back in the day when 4-H started. And they said, oh, no, they didn't. There's no proof of that. They ain't nothing like that. I said, no. My grandpa Ed was the one came into council and made the recommendation and everything. And, yeah, that's what happened. Oh, Patty Trussler, and county commissioner, and who else was there? Dave Stipe or something. Hey, nothing there. I asked Mary to look that up, and Mary Rogers looked that up in the newspaper article, laid it right in front of Patty Trussler, and look at here. So went through a weird transition of Department of Army to move that land into the county, but there it was, and it's just great. Mary she does great research.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll have you know, she's the base of any of the work we do in the field. And without her, I know that she really backed up Marsha and Dave, Francis and Mike Sr. at points when they really needed that. Just the hard research with the Montana SHPO. That's how she actually made the library, just acquiring all those documents. We had to make a library, a place to file it, and that's and we're lucky she works for the Ronan City Library there too. I don't know if she's still on that board, but she does work with them, and and it takes a really unique person to even do that kind of thing. Like she goes to the ATOM every
She
year.
dug up the history on all those parcels in Ronan. She did the school when they donated the land for the big old grade school where the event center is now. And there was one of the speeches there was fantastic, talking about, it was one of our council members. Oh, you know, these people are so pitiful, you know, we're so pitiful. It would, I can't remember, I got to pull it up, but it was a great speech when they made that donation. The tribes did for the Ronan school system.
Wow. Man, that's a great story. She doesn't even talk to us about that kind of thing either. She likes to talk about working on her trucks and making jam and stuff. So she don't like talking about work that much. But I have to ask her. But again, if there's any other questions we have for our department, I'd be happy to talk about that. Well, before I go, I just want to just put a notice out there that we were notified by Dan McClure last week that there's been some looting and pot hunting out there past permapictographs, right near where the sheep come down at Little Money. There's a channel on YouTube called Dirty Money. It's called Dirty Money. And there's a one folks from Polson there, one guy, and then he has a friend from Hamilton. They went out there with a metal detector, found some coins, and took it from a site we had recorded with the state. So with our partnership with Lolo Forest, on the Lolo side, they recorded a polygon that looks more linear and along the lines of the shore. Then our side, we did the whole landform on the bottom. As you know, is what used to be a historic site there with the Chinese railroad workers. They found a gold coin, and what the guy said on the video is he knows that's worth between $6,000 and $22,000, and took it. And took other coins too that were there. So there's a lot of round coins that have a square hole, and those were from the Chinese workers. But we also had ferry tokens for that went across the river in multiple places from Dixon down to Plains, and there's a lot of those on the river's edge there, and we leave them out there because it keeps the historic value of that place high. But what I didn't know that there was actually that kind of a showing or a hobby for those kinds of guys out there. And so what we're gonna work up to proposing, we'll come back to council. We'd like to request that road be for that kind of recreation, not be drivable on the road, like just make walk-in only traffic. I wish Dan was here he coached me through the verbiage on that yesterday. But we're going to request that road be shut down for that kind of recreation. We do know there's a number of horn hunters that walk out there, but they really like to walk, so they wouldn't mind having a cutoff point to where there's a corrals right before what used to be a private parcel out there. We'd like that cutoff there at that gate for drive-in traffic. Until we get a handle on the ARPA, because it's going to be a real ARPA, Archaeological Resources Protection Act case, and it's going to be active. We have Oski left hand will be going out there to take other photos, but the guy left little trowel size holes where he was digging up wherever the metal detector picked up anything. We're gonna have to approach him and get those artifacts back from him. And he doesn't completely vacuum all the elements that he finds out there, but he does things that he thinks are important. He does post those onto YouTube, so we don't really need that on that kind of activity. I think within our ridge basin boundary, it'd be nice to include that when we're talking about conservation permits and notices we put out there. So we're gonna have to get in the media and talk a little bit about that too. We also were notified that there are a number of folks out there doing the small sluice box type mining in all of our creeks. just for a while, it'd be good to try to get a handle on what kind of crowd actually goes out there and does that. Um, per ceremonial use, there'll be people that are sent out to certain creeks to find certain rocks. And it's not really good to have those all jumbled up, and they should be able to find those how they need to and where they need to. So that'd be the main concern with that. But I just thought I'd let council know today. Dan said he'd really like it if we can have that road cut off down there for a while and for temporary use until we're done with our case as we're recording it. So I thought I'd just let council know. What I told Travis today is that I'd like to talk with Tony Inkashola at length a little more because we had a lot of elder meetings last week. I wasn't able to catch up to him. But that'll be probably one of the main requests we're going to have as a department. And I just wanted to make you all aware of that. And we'll come back to council when we actually make the request.
Now that'll actually bump my requesting time to describe what I do and everything with the ARPA up to 2.5 hours.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin, the Wildland Rec Program, when we drafted the forest plan, recommended that area be a tribal member use area only back then. It's still a standing recommendation, so because of the sensitivity of the area.
That'll be great. We worked up a number of documents right around the time when the Curtis Matt commemorative campground was put out there, and I'll email that out to council so you guys can all just catch up to what we've done up to now.
Yeah, we seem to get, I remember Lester got, him and Ira didn't get along, and there was conflict of what Ira wanted to do down there versus what the Wildland Rec Program wanted to do in the river corridor. And so, Lester didn't win the argument. Ira Matt did.
Yeah. So what we'll do is for this issue here, we have a number of ways we'd like to propose monitoring the site as best we can without impeding the actual use of the pictograph itself there. And we have a few discussion points we've had with the elders last week. So we'll just keep in touch on that. But that's all we have for our department. Again, any more questions or anything, just email us or just give us a call.
Thank you, Kevin. Travis. Jen, is Rich not coming today?
They're on Zoom. They're going to be next, but I just needed to go into executive really quick.
We will go out of regular into executive.
Missed a couple calls the other day there, Rich. That guy was heckling you in the crowd right next to you. I heard him. Bad roughing.
I think we're ready, Rich.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council. Good to see you. I think it's my first time visiting with the new council today. I'm Rich Jansen Jr., the Department Head of Natural Resources. I'm starting my 16th year as the department head, and I'm with Casey Ryan, my Division Manager of Engineering and Water Resources. I hired him a little over a year ago in this capacity, but he's been with us longer than that, and he will be part of the presentation today. Also online is Whisper Camel Means, I believe, or if we can get her online. She is my Division Manager of Fish, Wildlife, Recreation, and Conservation. And Chauncey Means, my Division Manager of Engineering, or my Division Manager of Environmental Protection. And Misty Doss may also be joining us. She is my Lead Administrative Officer. I don't see them on yet. Okay. So Whisper and Chauncey are both on. And so this is our, I guess, our every couple of year presentation to new council members and just kind of update current council members, and we'll try to keep it informative for you. We are here to answer your questions and to give you an overview of the department that we serve at your discretion and disposal, and the memberships. And our mission is, just to manage and protect the resources that we do for the next generations and those generations to come. So with that said, this is who we are. We are three distinct divisions. Division of Environmental Quality, Division of Fish, Wildlife, Recreation, and Conservation, and the Division of Engineering and Water Resources. As I said, I am the department head. This is our organizational chart that you guys approve. We try not to come in too often to get approval for this stuff, but every position that you see here has a budget attached to it. Not all positions are currently filled, as some of these are seasonal and some of these have yet to be filled. A lot of those are in the Division of Engineering and Water Resources as we build capacity. And as you see the new facility being built in Ronan, right across the Boys and Girls Club, that will be the Tribes building. It's going to be the newest building in Ronan, right next to the tribal health facility. We're going to have a nice big conference room that will be able to be used by the public. And the one thing I like about this new facility is it was designed with a lot of different things in mind. It has a ground source heat pump that will use 2 wells that will heat and cool the facility with using a smaller amount of electrical power, and state of the art with some solar panels that we put on there to help offset the costs. It's going to take a while to have a break-even point, but it will last a very long time. And we're going to have a couple of charging stations for electric vehicles, which I am not sold on, just based on how we get our critical minerals for those batteries. So this is our organizational chart. 258 people at full staff, 3 divisions, 4 locations: Ronan, Polson, Charlo, Kicking Horse, Job Corps Center, Moise, and the Blue Bay Campground, which is our flagship campground, which we will get into later. I'm very proud of that campground and what we have done with that facility, your facility, the memberships campground, in the last few years. So again, these are our 3 divisions. You see this picture here, located in Moise, the annual river running event that I will like to invite, especially the new council members, to join us with the celebration, which I believe will be on the night of May 5th. I'm not sure, but I'll make sure everybody is aware. It's a beautiful event. So my portion of the talk, just to inform you, I'm the overall supervision and manager of the department. I am on the Western Montana Conservation Commission with Councilman Martin Charlo, also part of the Roundtable Crown of the Continent, Crown Managers Partnership, Lake County Solid Waste Board as your representative. And I work with the Flathead Lake Biological Station, numerous higher education institutions such as SKC, University of Montana, a lot of different nonprofits such as the Flathead Lakers, federal, state, local, Canadian tribes, and Canadian entities. I'm also on the Lake County Planning Board and Park Board as your representative. It's a lot of dang boards. And also on the leadership team on the land exchange provisions of the Montana Water Rights Protection Act, with Tony on that as well. The biggest thing I've been dealing with Tom at times is the Canada, United States, Three Tribes Selenium Pollution Team. Been dealing with this since 2010. The weekly calls are not weekly so much anymore. They're about monthly right now with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. And then we're working on a study to talk about the selenium that's coming down, and that is almost complete. I'm also part of the Columbia River Treaty Sovereign Review Team since 2011. That's been put on hold under the current administration. One thing I do want to kind of talk about just briefly is on the Lake County Solid Waste Board is, just for your information, is that the county is looking at going to a weight system into the future instead of a volume system or a punch card system is that we're looking at based on the weight of what 90 gallons of garbage per week would weigh. But they got to get the they have to get the scales in place at the new landfill and at their satellite stations. That's going to take some time, but before that happens, I've asked the Lake County Solid Waste District Manager to come in and talk to the council and see what that will entail. So nothing will really change in terms of the cost, although they want to look at a CPI index going forward for their punch card, which is currently $180 per tax-paying citizen to use that service. And a lot of tribal members use that service that may or may not pay taxes on their land. So this is just a quick bird's eye view of the mines up in Canada. You can see this metallurgic coal that is at the headwaters that comes into Lake Koocanusa, and Tech Coal, they did sell this to Glencore Corporation out of Switzerland, and they mine this coal, ship it off to China to be refined into steel, and there are no environmental regulations in China. So just another bird's eye view. I was on a plane, a small plane flying over this a couple summers ago. And this is on Lake Koocanusa, just a picture of a USGS water quality monitoring station. So we know that the pollution is coming from Canada and those mines. And this is just a picture of Libby Dam showing Lake Koocanusa. And just a little bit real quick on some of the things that I do. Just like overall management of the department, just talking about some air quality issues. You can see in the upper left, the big fire we had a few years ago near Elmo, and then you can see on the upper right, the old tribal health building that was burned there in Bronan to make way for the new highway that we're all enjoying. and the asbestos was taken out, we made sure, and tribal maintenance took out all the windows and a lot of different things that were there. And the lower left is the new Crow Dam facility in action that Casey's division was instrumental in developing with a lot of tribal member workers that received David's bacon wages and made a lot of economic impact into the local economy. And lower right is the bridge over on Mullen Pass Trail that the county and the tribe worked on that is now fixed. And then the upper left is our new Blue Bay dock. And then the upper right is just some of our biologists working with a bear. The lower left is myself with Chris Dorrington. He was the Montana DEQ director. Now he's the Montana DOT director. So whenever there's an issue with highways, I have his cell phone and I text him right away, say, what the heck's going on? Aren't you notifying people? And he gets back to me right away. And I know he's been visiting you quite a bit lately. And then the lower right is just some flooding that we had about a year ago caused by beavers doing what beavers do. They're in the forestry complex in Ronan. And it took a while for the state of Montana to come up here and deal with that. They were blaming the city. The city was saying the state should do it. And it was just a whole conundrum of things that finally took me calling Helen on and getting Chris to get the state up here to get it finally unplugged and fixed. On the left is, upper left is just us doing that was the gathering. This is about 4 years ago. You can see the bison in there. And upper right is just some water quality staff doing some work with one of our boats. The lower left is our fisheries program doing a rehab project that is done on the Jocko River. And the lower right is the Animals Crossing Bridge down in Devereaux. So just a bird's eye view of a lot of the things that we do, and just some of the drone pictures that we have for pilots now of drones that are certified to fly. So it allows us to get better angles and views of many different landscapes here on our beautiful country. And just some of the other things that we do. This is the Inkusum kids that we bring out to Wild Horse Island and different areas every summer. And I love that part of my job. Wasn't able to go out with us last summer, and neither was I. We just couldn't make it work, but this was 2 summers ago. And now that ends my part of the presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Chauncey Means, who is online. And Chauncey, do you want me to just forward the slides for you?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay.
My name is Chauncey Means. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of council. And I'm going to talk about my division, the Division of Environmental Protection. We are 60% EPA funded and about 40% tribally funded. Some of the tribal programs that we have are our GIS program. You may have been seeing Marty Zobel putting up maps in council chambers this week. He does that every year with the new land status maps. We have McKenna Andrews, who is our new DES coordinator, Disaster Emergency Services. And we also have our shoreline program that runs the 64A and 87A permits. Along with those, we have water quality, air quality, pesticides, underground storage tanks, brownfields, and also we have the septic tank assessment program called the Columbia River Basin Grant. And a lot of these programs are regulatory, so we do a lot of inspections. We have, I believe, 4 credentialed inspectors currently that are credentialed by the EPA. So they can go out and do inspections and collect data, send that off to EPA for possible, issues of fines or our violations. We do have a few programs that are unfunded. Our wetland program is a competitive grant to the EPA. Right now, we do not have anybody in that position, as well as the environmental justice coordinator. Next slide. So our Shoreline Protection Board, for those that don't know, is a 7-member board, authority to permit lake structures, docks, and culverts on and over Flathead Reservation waters, including the southern half of the Flathead Lake. Next. So here's a view of our southern half of the Flathead Lake. It's pretty extensive. We have over 3,000, I believe, dock structures that we permit, and we do collect fines, or excuse me, we collect fees on those docks. We are currently updating our fee schedule, which is might be kind of an issue, at least for dock owners. We haven't updated our fee schedule in quite a few years, and we are updating. We're having a hearing tomorrow at the resort for public comment. So we'll have 2 phases. Phase 1, I believe, will bring it up maybe about half. So right now, it costs about $50 to have a fee on the dock, and we're gonna double that, I think, or maybe 5 times to $250. And we're doing that in phase 1, and then I think a year after that will be phase 2, and we'll bring those fees up to $500. So we are bringing up those fees because we look at other counties. Right now, this would be about the same level as the Flathead County. So we're going to have our scheduled hearing tomorrow, collect comments, and then eventually go back to the board for approval. And that will begin at 9 o'clock tomorrow at the resort until noon. Next slide. So this is our division of water. We do have a certified regulatory specialist and program manager, Evan Smith. We do collect data on the rivers, streams, and the lake, the southern half of the lake. We also do permitting for wastewater treatment facilities, which you see on your left. We do have a water quality lab at the airport in Polson that holds all our water quality stuff or equipment. We also calibrate our own equipment. We send all our samples into a contract lab for analysis. And those parameters could be from bacteria to total dissolved solids to heavy metals. So we do have an extensive permitting parameter list. Next slide. We wanted to bring up this event that happened a few years ago called the White Swan Bay Barge sinking. You guys may have heard about this. This was on the West Shore. It was in February, I think, was it 22 or 23? One of the barges owned by the McCrums was in the White Swan Bay, and they had kind of docked for the night because of a big storm, and they docked the incorrect way. So the wind blew the wave action eventually sank their barge, and it did also have a excavator on it. So they did have equipment to in case of a spill kit on the barge, but that sank with the barge. So they brought in the Lake County, they brought in CSKT or DES, and they eventually had to go and get divers from, I think, Washington to blow up put balloons underneath the barge to blow it up. And they did save the barge. But we brought in Environmental Protection Agency and then United States Coast Guard to monitor this situation, because this was, I think, the very first time this barge had sank, or at least the owners had tried to bring up this barge from sinking. So it was quite a good learning experience, especially bringing multiple agencies. Next slide. So we also have our air quality program. We are a Class 1 airshed. which is similar to national parks. We do have issues, of course, with wildfire. We've also have instances of tire fires, especially the tire depot near Pablo. We do have 3 air quality monitoring stations, one on Jetty, one on the Polson Travel Health, and one at Ronan Park. So Randy Ashley, our air quality manager, every week goes out and collects data. We've also kind of been working a little bit with people with their purple air quality sensors that they have out there. We don't usually use that data because we can't calibrate it. And that's really important for our program to have good data. So we usually use only our sites for air quality monitoring. Next slide. And of course, we have our solid waste. A lot of people are dumping. I think you've heard about with these new fees with the solid waste, Lake County solid waste. We're seeing a lot more dumping, a lot more of the bigger appliances, beds. And we've had a couple of places on the reservation, especially by Buffalo Bridge, where they'll abandon cars, they'll shoot them up, drive them into the river. So we work with Mary Rose Morjo, who is our manager, to go out with her staff and collect some of these garbage sites and take them to the Lake County. And we do have a pretty good relationship with the Lake County transfer station when we do bring in garbage. In the bottom right, I believe is Talsma's site in Ronan. We work with them to make sure that they empty all their vehicles of antifreeze, any petroleum products before they leave them on site. Next slide. This is a picture of the underground storage tank, leaking underground storage tank, a program. So basically, if you have a tank that dispenses gasoline, whatever it may be, and it's buried, you have to go through our program to make sure that everything's permitted correctly. If you were to dig one up and to replace it or just abandon it, we have to be on site to make sure that it's done correctly, that a sample is taken to make sure that no petroleum products have made it into or underneath the tank into the groundwater. And on the left, Tom McClure, our former program manager, was giving a spill kit to, I think, one of the Conoco stations on the reservation. I believe there's over 20 underground storage tank sites on the reservation that we inspect as well. Next slide. I'll pass it over to, I believe, Casey.
All right, thank you, Chauncey. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of council. My name is Casey Ryan, and I have the privilege of serving as the manager of the Division of Engineering and Water Resources within the Natural Resources Department. As Rich mentioned, I've been with the division for about 10 years now, so I've had the opportunity to see it through a time of significant transition, which has been very exciting. I appreciate the opportunity to serve CSKT, and I appreciate your time today. So we'll talk very briefly about the programs within the Division of Engineering and Water Resources. It is a fairly mature division, having some of the older programs in the tribes, including the Water Measurement Program, which has housed some terrific employees throughout the years, including our very own Tom McDonald. I also have to give a shout out here to our administrative team, who is the glue that keeps our little rocket together. And I make a point of saying thank you to them every day because they are behind every program that we'll talk about. We have 2 boards that we serve, so to speak. One is the Compact Implementation Technical Team. That is a multi-agency technical group that includes the tribes, the federal government, the state of Montana, the irrigation project, and an irrigator representative also gets a vote on that group as well. The CITT is responsible for a lot of the technical implementation of the multi-agency activities, including water supply forecasting, the stock water mitigation program. The council helped develop and approve, as well as a number of different initiatives. The other thing we're involved with is the leadership team with the land exchange provisions that are called out in Section 13 of the federal portion of the tribe's water rights settlement. And we can discuss those more on a different day. To jump into our programs, the Water Monitoring and Measurement Program is the oldest program in our division. It was established in January of 1982. We measure water all across the reservation in all of its forms, including snowpack. We measure snowpack at 11 different locations throughout the tribe's Aboriginal territories, making us the largest cooperator in the state of Montana with the NRCS. We measure surface water at 95 different locations in streams, canals, and reservoirs, making your measurement network larger than the state of Montana's that covers the entire state. We also have a groundwater monitoring network of over 40 different locations, about half of which are equipped with hourly data loggers to get high definition understanding of our groundwater resources across the reservation. That data is then transmitted to the internet. And so if you look at the picture on the lower left, you can actually look at the data on your phone, and that's available publicly. We also have a significant amount of support for non-compact related work, such as assisting the Department of Forestry with active timber sales shown on the bottom, as well as working with the Division of Fire on post-wildfire recovery efforts, working with the Shoreline Protection Office, the Lands Department, and other tribal non-compact related activities. Our roads program is something that the tribes compacted in 1994, and we also have a 2013 programmatic agreement with Federal Highways. The roads program maintains tribal and BIA roads on the reservation. We have about 1,800 miles of road on that inventory called the National Tribal Transportation Facilities Inventory. We maintain culverts, ditches, bridges, signs, and perform general maintenance activities on that road network. We're also support the membership through maintaining tribal home sites, including sanding, plowing, mowing, vegetation removal, and treating of noxious weeds within those home sites. The other important function of the roads program is to review county and MDT projects occurring throughout the reservation, as well as supporting ongoing Highway 93 road improvement projects, such as the Post Creek Hill project going on right now, where we have a northbound truck climbing lane being installed. The Highway 93 wildlife overpass, which was just brought to council recently, and safety improvements at the intersection of Eagle Pass Trail and Highway 93. Many of those projects were made possible through $100 million in grant funding that the tribes were awarded in 2023 under the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Our Safety of Dams program is another one of our legacy programs. The tribes compacted this program in 1989 from the BIA. The Safety of Dams program oversees the reservation's 15 high hazard dams. Our staff monitor, inspect, maintain, and manage those dams to keep them safe and reduce the risk to human life and property. That includes managing our early warning system network and maintaining that, operations and maintenance of dam facilities, including mowing the dam crests, dam planning, design, and construction, such as Crow Dam, pictured here, shown in these photos. And it also includes the operation of the BIA National Monitoring Center. These photos are of the National Monitoring Center. This was added to the tribe's inventory circa 2005. So the BIA maintains early detection and notification of unsafe conditions at 141 BIA high hazard dams across the United States, and that facility is located here on our reservation. Each of those dams has predetermined safety criteria, and if any of those safety criteria are exceeded, then our staff who are located in our National Monitoring Center, also affectionately called the 24/7, because they do work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our staff will get that alert, they will pick up the phone, and then they will alert appropriate staff from other tribes, BIA personnel, and law enforcement agencies as appropriate. One of our newer programs is the Environmental Restoration Program. We established this program in 2021 to meet the needs of the CSKT Montana Water Compact. This program oversees and implements restoration and mitigation activities for historic as well as contemporary natural resource damages caused by either the construction of or the operation of the Flathead Indian Irrigation Project. Some of our recent and current projects include improvements to the tribal Twin Lakes campground, a partnership project to restore a portion of the Jocko Spring Creek, some stream mitigation work that we'll be performing on Crow Creek, and our ongoing project to restore 3 miles of the Jocko River just south of the Bison Range. We're also opportunistic with restoration activities, and we seek to incorporate restoration into all of our projects. Staff are shown here on the right. This is on the Jocko River and working to restore some of those stream banks down there. Another one of our newer compact programs is the Irrigation Infrastructure Program. We established this program in 2021. This is the program that's responsible for organizing, planning, and executing a lot of those rehabilitation and modernization activities associated with the Flathead Indian Irrigation Project compact implementation. Our projects all share goals of water conservation, reducing the impact to tribal natural resources and tribal fisheries, to improve irrigation efficiency, and also to make improvements for safety. Some of our active irrigation projects include the North Fork Jocko Diversion Project, shown here in the top left, the Jocko Pipeline Canal to Conversion Project down in the Jocko Valley, that'll be complete in April, the Crow Creek Pumping Plant Modernization, as well as rehabilitation activities down at the Flathead River Pumping Plant. Another compact program is our Water Management and Planning Program, established 2021. We set this program up to be a house for our compact water science work. And so our staff there are busy with a lot of things, including water conservation efforts. They do water supply forecasting, and we interact heavily with the Montana NRCS. We do groundwater monitoring, irrigation service area planning, water management planning, and they're also involved in a number of project-specific studies and technical investigations. This program is also where we house a representative to the compact implementation technical team, which is currently Brian Hoganson, the chair. Another compact program is our Water Rights Program, established in 2021. The mission of our program here is to protect the tribal water right and ensure that our tribal water rights are recognized, quantified, and preserved for both current and future generations. Our Water Rights Program works to develop and protect our on-reservation water rights, such as registering existing and new uses, implementing the other in-stream flows as identified in one of the compacts to the appendices to the compact, Appendix 12. We track the activities of the Flathead Reservation Water Management Board and actively advocate for the protection of tribal interests in those processes and decisions. We also work to protect off-reservation water rights in the Kootenai, Swan, Lower Clark Fork, Upper Clark Fork, and Blackfoot River basins. As one example, last year we worked very collaboratively with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks on the development of an implementation framework for one of our co-owned water rights, and that is the Milltown water right located just east of Missoula at the confluence of the Clark Fork and Blackfoot rivers. And our newest program is the Information and Education Program, which we established in 2024. My goal here was to provide a house where we could continue to provide updated and accurate information on compact implementation activities to our community, including tribal council, our culture committees, our elders, other departments, and the membership. So this program, we engage very heavily with local schools, middle schools, high schools, summer youth programs, colleges, universities, particularly Salish Kootenai College. And we are also dedicated to workforce development efforts to expand opportunities for our membership, as well as to help ensure that we're safeguarding our resources for generations to come. So some example projects here, we've worked for the last 3 years with Salish Kootenai College to partner on a welding course and have about 30 CSKT graduates who are now out in the world with those certificates. In the middle, we were able to incorporate Nakusum. They helped us with the groundbreaking on the Jocko River Restoration Project. So we were able to connect our future natural resource managers to our projects, which is always exciting. And then on the right, an example of our ongoing efforts to incorporate tribal contractors into all of the work that we do. So with that, I appreciate your time and I will pass it over to Whisper.
Great, thank you, Casey. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Yes? Okay, I see a thumbs up from Rich, thank you. My name is Whisper Camel Means. I'm the division manager for Fish, Wildlife, Recreation, and Conservation. My office is located in Polson, behind the Linderman School, in the old Mission Valley Power Building. You may not recognize us because we got a little tiny facelift this summer, which included some nice green new tin and a new roof. So I don't have to say the multicolored blue building, I can just say the nice green building behind Linderman. So come and check us out if you like. My division includes the fisheries program. They work on recreation regulations, the biology and science of native species, and are currently and have been for quite a while conducting the spring and fall MAC days. We have our wildlife management program, again, working on recreation regulations, the biology and science of game, non-game animals, birds, and other things, and habitats. We oversee places like the Little Money Bighorn Sheep Conservation Area, Ferry Basin. We added, oh my gosh, it just left my brain. The one up here on the lake that was donated to us by the Nature Conservancy. So we have a variety of different protected areas that we manage for wildlife, and that one is for birds. Why am I not thinking of the name of that place? Safe Harbor Marsh. Recreation wise, we oversee the recreation areas across the reservation. That includes Blue Bay, but also includes a lot of the high mountain lakes, campgrounds around theirs, trails, all the different types of outdoor recreation that's available for tribal members and other people that come to the reservation to recreate. Conservation relates to our game wardens. We have 8 tribal game wardens currently that are ex officio with the state, meaning that they can cite offenders into state court. They are considered similar or the same as state game wardens in that effect, and they work with the state game wardens should there be an issue on the reservation. They patrol Flathead Lake, any lands owned by CSKT, the lower Flathead River, and they assist heavily with the treaty bison hunting in Yellowstone National Park. We oversee the Tribal Bison Range, which is new and back to us. We're currently calling that the CSKT Bison Range. We have visitor services, a gift shop, and education, but we also have bison management and the maintenance of the facility. So it's really run like a wildlife preserve, but also a park. I oversee information and education. We have a program manager in that program. She does a lot of different educational trips and provides materials, works also with Bison Range, and does the annual river honoring. And last but certainly not least is the Aquatic Invasive Species Surveillance Program. We work with Montana to stop the spread of quagga and zebra mussels into the Flathead Basin. We have 2 check stations protecting reservation waters. That is a funded program through the Montana legislature, but we also get supplemental grants for other AIS that are discovered around the reservation, or to do other projects with zebra and quaggas that we don't already have money for. Next slide. We have a couple of different things that we work with. You may have heard of Native Fish Keepers. That is a CSKT corporation, and the intent is that we generate revenue from the sale of non-native lake trout that were that we are netting, gill netting in Flathead Lake in order to fund native bull trout restoration. So it's not like a huge money-making operation, but in order to circle the money back around in order to keep removing non-native lake trout, then we can use those funds to do that. We have an NGO set up, or LLC, I'm forgetting which one. I just heard before the meeting that Barry Hansen has a really nice presentation on this, a lot of the work that they've done over the years. So I'm hoping to be able to get him to give that presentation to our department and maybe our departmental coordination group so that more people can hear about the work that they're doing there. We have a couple of boards. Well, one board specifically is the Tribal State Fish and Wildlife Board. That's the Flathead Reservation Wildlife Board. You may have heard of it as well. It was established in 1988. And the intent is to deal with a lot of the challenges that were present when the state and the tribes were both trying to manage recreating public on the reservation, and was actually the result of a stay of a lawsuit that included big game hunting on the reservation. So the state and the tribe said, the judge said, both of you will likely lose something if you keep going forward with this. Go to the table, come up with an agreement, state you can be involved in bird hunting and fishing regulations on the reservation along with the tribes. We won't talk about big game, and we'll go forward with this agreement and this board. That board is part of the process that approves the annual regulations for non-tribal members on the reservation. So you'll hear more about that from us as we go through the spring. Next slide. As I dig a little deeper into each of the programs, and I won't take a whole lot more of our time, but this is some photos from the fisheries folks out at Blue Bay. And if you're new to council, or if you're not new and you haven't been to the fish operations out there, we should definitely schedule a day, because Cindy Benson, pictured in the top with her buffalo plaid shirt on, and Barry and the rest of the staff do such a great job at getting those lake trout out of the lake and then bringing them back to that facility at Blue Bay to process them. And it is really something to see. And if you haven't, then we should schedule that, because it's really a very interesting. It's kind of gross because you're going to see the guts of fish stomachs, but it's also really interesting. Next slide, please. Yep, thanks. They also do a lot of habitat restoration. So being able to keep native fish species healthy across the reservation includes a lot of work in the associated streams, not just the big lake and the big river. So we've done a lot of habitat restoration, a lot of working in water. The picture with the green and the meandering creek is Mission Creek, and that is one of our restoration sites that was installed in an effort to clean some of the wasteway, dirty water that was getting into the creek and then eventually into the river. So they've done a lot of innovative work and are continuing to learn over time. Next slide. Wildlife. If you've known me for my career, that's where I've been for the majority of time. A lot of the work that I did was on Highway 93 and the wildlife crossing structures, but our program does a wide swath of things, dealing with humans and predators, or just human wildlife conflicts is a major part of our day. Dealing with people, really teaching people how to live with wildlife is our biggest challenge. And before COVID, before the influx of new people, we were getting a pretty good handle on it. We knew our neighbors and we knew how to speak to them. And then after COVID, when we got just so many new people with different ways of getting information, it's been really hard to reconnect and to help people to learn to live without being scared of their backyard. That big horned sheep head that Rich and Lee Anderson are holding, I think came from Wild Horse Island. Is that correct, Rich?
Yes, it did.
Um,
It's being mounted at Sean Anderson's place. Still, we want to put it in the new Bison Range Visitor Center.
yeah, that one's really great off of Wild Horse Island. And we do a lot of outreach with folks, including the Hunter Check Station, which is the picture there. And that now includes chronic wasting disease Hunter Check Stations. So we employ quite a few people from master's degrees in science to high school or high set degrees out here working to protect wildlife and fish and the resources across the reservation. Next slide. We've also got our bison range. If you haven't been out there, please come visit. We've been able to update the space that we have since the Fish and Wildlife Service left, and things have been going pretty well out there. The entrance actually looks different. We installed a ADA accessible entrance into the building. So if you're in a wheelchair, you're able to get to the front door without danger and peril. My favorite picture really is this bison skull that was created, and we don't have that any longer. That was on loan to us, but we've been trying to figure out how to get another one. The other half of it is in Amsterdam, and the gentleman who loaned it to us is kind of touring it around in the States. So we like to have hands-on learning for people when they come in so that they maybe touch stuff in the building and stay safely in their cars away from all wildlife while out on the landscape taking the drive. Next slide. We also have wildland recreation showing some of our pictures of some of the facilities in the mountains that we've rehabilitated or just things that fall down over time. You know, sometimes people start fires and don't take care of stuff. And so we've got these things going. It's really a legacy of a lot of the stuff that Tom started when he was in this position and was with Wildland for so many years. And so I appreciate those foundations because now we're just coming along and rehabbing things or trying to keep a lot of that going. One of those being this heavy metal sign he has here, figuring out how to create outreach in the public without having people shoot it up with their guns is a big deal. So that's the sign is actually pretty significant. And then the bathrooms. I have never had to deal with people's waste as much in my life as I do now. And it really is an important thing because if you don't provide adequate restrooms, people just go to the restroom everywhere on the ground. And so we've worked actually with Chauncey's program and the Tribal Lands program with, I believe, some of the funds that came from ARPA to install vault toilets around the reservation to deal with some of the water quality issues that could have been with some of the old ones, to improve condition and just to provide that so that it's cleaner out on the landscape. Next slide. AIS, we work with the state as well as the biostation. We've got Evan Smith down there in the corner. He works for Chauncey's crew, but they do some really great water quality sampling with the biostation when called. Katie Finley is the program manager there. She manages the stations. We did get that new looking little building down in Ravalli this last year so that we could have our folks inside and some air conditioning when needed, and it wasn't sinking into the ground. It's like every time we turn around, there's another aquatic invasive species popping up. We had Eurasian water milfoil in Pablo Reservoir that we're still working with our partners to get a handle on. Mystery snails showed up in East Bay. There was a little crawdad that was out in the Nine Pipe area that they were trying to dig out of the ground and see what those were. It's really a challenge. And I wish that people would take their boat transport a little more seriously and care a little bit more about our resources, because people love to just like go all over the country, I guess, with their fancy boats and hit every puddle of water. But man, we sure don't want those zebra and quagga mussels here. They're pretty scary. Next slide. And then we have outreach and education. Sorry, some of my text is cut off. This has been going on for over 30 years. We might be at 30 years now. This one's very well established. The envy of other people who do outreach and education in places and want to be able to have the level of educational awareness for youth. Staff love it. It's kind of tiring, but it's a really fun thing to do. And we really care about trying to get the message out, not only to youth, but adults as well. So we can try to get people to live with nature and to respect our tribes and our culture and our environment. And it's a challenge. And hopefully speaking to kids sets that foundation. Next slide. And we have our game wardens. So these guys are everywhere. So if you're out in the wilderness and you're doing something wrong and you say, oh, I never see a game warden, then one should come around the corner abruptly. It's happened to me. I was out there and somebody said, we never see game wardens. And I said, oh, here they come. And not an hour later, somebody came around the corner. So we are out there. We don't have a huge crew and we have a lot of land to walk around and drive around and boat around, and we hope to build capacity more in the future, building relationships with the public, building relationships across law enforcement and search and rescue agencies as well. So these guys work really hard. We have a younger crew of game wardens with a couple seasoned vets in the mix. And so I think that we have a good group of people that's going to continue to protect the reservation for years to come. And next slide, that's it. We're to questions and we'll answer anything you guys have for us.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Whisper and Chauncey and Casey. I just wanted to reflect a little bit on the presentation that you just heard, and just kind of inform on some things that we may have missed for the council. Over the past few years, it's been on my mind and on the mind of the division managers to actively recruit tribal members for future employment opportunities, and it's been difficult. Not everyone wants to go into the fields that we offer. And we are a small tribe when you consider the pool of people that we have available and those that choose to go into these professions. Many of these positions require the hard sciences and the maths, the engineering type degrees, but some do not. Now, I've recruited my entire career. We've had some successes. We haven't had some successes. And I have done some things working with the younger generations that are different and how they see things. Me being a 56-year-old man and how I was brought up is different than what I'm seeing today in our youth. And working with tribal education, it's difficult as well. Some of the things that we are trying are seeing some successes. You saw that welding course that we put on with SKC, and we're going to begin to start our 4th year. And of that, we have 2 tribal members, Moss Tanner and Matthew Manyhides, that have come full circle and are now full-time employees with us, working in our division, able to become, or at least start that process of getting in and get their foot in the door. They're full-time employees, and eventually, be able to ascend the ladder of their career. They're young. At least I think they're young, mid-30s, and they'll be, in 20 years, who knows where they'll be. But I'm also looking at how I've talked to Casey, Whisper, and Chauncey about these things called trainee positions, to where we can look at our youth that are even under 18, which is difficult with travel personnel to hire under 18, and unless they're summer youth, to look at this summer, we are going to advertise for summer help trainee positions to where we can get those 18-year-olds, those students that may want to go on to higher education in engineering, hydrology, GIS, and see if they like that. Go out with us for the summer, kind of like what Tribal Health did a few years ago, you know, and we're going to make this part of our annual work plan because we have the funding, and even in fisheries biology, because we don't have any tribal members that really seem to want to go into those fields. Plenty in wildlife, but not many in fisheries. And the one tribal descendant that we do that has done really well is working for the feds, making a lot of money. So even just last week, I had a young man come into my office that saw the ad in the Charcusta. Just came in off the street, tribal member. And he came in, showed that ambition, talked to me. We talked and called me, and I said, yeah, let's set up an appointment. Just come visit. He didn't set up an appointment. He just showed up. And that showed me ambition. And I was shocked. And next thing you know, I'm working with DHRD because there's money there, right? And we are gonna get him on with Casey's crew and the hydrologic technician crew. We have a trainee position. And we're gonna have him work with us for 3 months. And if he likes it and if he does well, there's that opportunity, right? There's that opportunity to move him into a full-time position, you know, and you know, there's opportunity here, but I guess what I'm trying to say to the council is that not everybody in our youth and in our tribe wants to go into these professions. And we're doing everything in our power to hire and recruit and showcase what we can do in these professions. But even I know my little nephew Matia Ninime, he loves basketball, and you know, he's not thinking about high school, higher education, and he's 17. I mean, they can go to college and they might not like this profession, and they'll turn around and say, well, I want to be something else. You know, they'll go to MSU and start the engineering program and say, well, I don't want to do this. You know, Peyton Adams started in the engineering program at MSU, didn't like it. Now he's a wildlife biologist. So it worked out for us, but not everybody wants these professions, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But we're doing everything in our power to make that an opportunity for those tribal members that want it. You know, and I hope you will support us in our endeavors, and you have, you have, you know, and if you have any ideas, please share them with us. And if you have any future recruits, send them our way. Because really that's what's working is those subtle ads on social media, those ads, not really in the Charcusta, but that's where he saw it. I mean, and they come and they just show up, and it's amazing, you know. So that's where I wanted to end, and just some thoughts for you guys to think about the future.
Questions? Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everybody, for your presentations. Just got a couple of questions in related to previous goals that we had at NRD related to creating a sign shop. So I think Dan had committed one time to doing that. Given all the projects and the need for interpretation and the signs that we have out there right now, I'd still like to see us, you know, maybe in your in your shop, Casey, that we would have a sign shop because it's so expensive to make those signs. You can get a digital, a plotter, you just get that vinyl self stuff and then the aluminum sheets and you can make signs for $100 a piece where it costs you nearly $1,000 a piece to put those out there. But get all the stop signs and speed limit signs and everything the road department uses. I just see a more of a need for us to do more signage, let people know that we're here. We can put them up nearly anywhere and they do get vandalized, but it's an easy way to replace them. So that was one of my questions. If you're thinking about doing that, or if you have plans to do that, or I'm suggesting you should do that, because you have the money to do it. And then the other one was, is Hubbard Dam in your portfolio of safety dams? They are. And then who does the water quality testing at Hubbard? Because that's where I see blue-green algae every summer. And I worry about our constituents that might be up there fishing or doing things.
Thank you for that question. We do not do any sampling at Hubbard Dam. I believe it's also off reservation. So our water quality standards only extend to within the boundaries.
It releases right onto the reservation, right out of the dam.
We could start sampling below it as it enters the reservation. And we do have sites that we do that kind of work.
Okay. I know you're going to respond there, Casey, but one last question, and this goes to Carol and I have been fundraising for the real cool playground equipment there that's going to go in at next year, new facility. And so I think Scott had started maybe doing the staking engineering or something. I can't remember what it was. And we had a meeting 3 weeks ago and with the promissory note from me and Carol a little bit to make sure that we have everything in place so that that stuff can be, put in this year because it didn't get in last year. So we need to have just a rough grade in of where it goes, and then we revised the site plan for that whole area. I think we came in on council here, people did, and we did a little bit of moving the playground a little closer to the tribal health building and moving the garden. Flipped them back and forth. But I just want to see where that's at and make sure that happens because we raised over $200,000 to start that project and have these playgrounds put in other reservation communities, just like skate parks. And it's really cool equipment. It's all animals. It's all cultural. It's really, really unique. It'll be a real nice attribute for the area that your new building's going in, along with the skate park. But, it's on our property and we committed to, have a spot for it, have it ready. And then the contractor comes in and he just sets it, compacts it, puts in the turf and puts in the equipment. But that's what was missing. And so I just wanted to see, if you got Scott working on it or anybody or where we're at with that. And then my one last thing for Whisper, I've been, council put me on the technical management team for the Columbia River. And I'd like to get off that and have another fish head type person put on that. So that I can attend elder meetings again. It's been 2 years and you start now. Tomorrow's another meeting. They run from all morning long. And then in the summertime, they're every Wednesday. So you don't have to hit them all, but it'd be nice to have Craig, Barfoot or someone else maybe participating in that has information about the fisheries in the Columbia. That's it. Thank you.
Whisper.
Can you send me any information on that, Tom, just so I know what it is? I wrote down the technical management team, so the TMT for the Columbia Basin. Is that the one that hits Hungry Horse?
It does.
Okay, so it's the TMT.
Yep. So just search on TMT Columbia River and you'll come up with their website and you can go to their calendar and it shows all the meetings and representatives and Kootenai Tribe of Idaho and us, a few other people, other tribes are on it, all the federal agencies.
Okay, I will work on that.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Councilman McDonald, for your suggestion of the sign shop. I will follow up on that. With respect to your question about the playground, Scott did talk to me about that in one of our project updates, and so I do know that it's something he's actively working on. I don't have a specific update today, but I will follow up on that item and provide one to you. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Rich. Chauncey? Oh, Bing. Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's see, I think I read it somewhere where Kerry is looking to get a count of herds of elk. I don't know where I see that at, but I think she's asking to members to help her find where there's been quite a few elk in these herds around the reservation here. And what was the other one? Also, all I wanted to ask is, when is Craig going to put the cutthroat back up in Liberty? And the other question is, what bridges are you going to fix in the South Fork?
Okay, Carrie and culling elk, was that the question? Sorry, I started coughing and I didn't quite hear.
No, I was wondering, I was just asking if I seen where Kerry was asking for help about counting the elk in different areas on the reservation.
I'm not sure. I will check into that. It could be. And I know that she does the aerial flights. She did put out an announcement, I think, in the paper and all our socials because with everybody following flight following these days, the public gets very excited when somebody's flying grid patterns over the reservation. And so she has been putting out announcements now so that the public's aware that our contractor will be flying a grid pattern over the reservation, counting big game, so that we get an idea. So that instead of getting excited and upset and calling the FAA on our contractors as they did last year, that we try to get out ahead of that one. So I think she was just putting that information out so that people don't think Big Brother's watching us. We're just counting elk. And then or cutthroat trout in Liberty, I'll follow up with them. I know they worked really hard on that this year. We can try to come in and do a follow-up with council since they did all that work. I think he wanted to try to acknowledge and honor some of our partners at Fish, Wildlife, and Parks who came and helped with that on their dime. And so as our regional partners, so you'll probably see us soon to talk about that. And I think, Casey, you're the bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Councilman Matt, for the question regarding the bridges in the South Fork. So which bridges will be replaced was your question. I would characterize that as a four-step process that would start with assessing the bridges for their integrity and safety to determine which bridges need to be replaced. Then move into developing engineered plans for bridges that would be easy to install, but would also meet safety requirements. Then to construct the bridges, we're committed to using a tribal workforce for that effort. And then 4, to ensure ongoing communications during, throughout, and after the process. So I imagine that will include several touch points with tribal council through and after that process.
The last thing I would share, Bing, is that as soon as the snow melts, we're going to get up there and finalize the gate on the boundary. It's already built and it's stout. 2 steel gates are going to be put up there on the boundary to prevent people illegally accessing the reservation lands.
What about the gate where Jimmy's at? I heard they was going to planned on putting a gate there too. And I thought if they're gonna put one there, there's already a fence coming out of that creek, the river there, going up to the road and going across. I said, all you have to do is put a gate right there to block it off if you was gonna do that. You put it up by the cabin, they're just gonna drive around. Before that, they got to, where he's got that rope now, you know, so, they just drive around it. So if you're gonna put a gate there, block it off down there where they can't get in there. But they'll just go around the other side anyway, up around on the backside, go over the top of the power line and go in there, you know, too. They get in that way too, but, you know, you block that gate out there, that gate would be right at the, cabin would probably help a little bit anyway.
Other questions? Well, thank you all.
We good?
I think we're good.
Okay. My hearing aids are going in and out. I'm sorry. Thank you, council, for your time. Any questions, please reach out. We're always available. Thank you.
That is our agenda. Meeting's Thursday. I think we got
Yes,
plans on
until
Thursday.
about 3 to 3:30, because you guys have lands committee in the afternoon.